Good morning. My name is Hester Agadosi. I have the pleasure of serving as the Chief Diversity Officer here in the state of New Jersey, and I'm going to welcome you again to this afternoon's Procurement Readiness webinar series, Meet the Industry Leaders. Before I begin, just a couple of housekeeping things. I'm going to ask for all of our participants, if you could please mute yourself as well as turn off your video. We are recording these webinars and they will be available and uploaded on the Office of Diversity and Inclusion's website. And it will also be made available to you for the December 9th Virtual Marketplace Exchange Summit. So I'm going to ask, not trying to call people out, but I kind of have to. I'm going to ask Evelyn, I'm sorry, and Ray, if you can please turn off your video. Thank you very much. Now, for housekeeping purposes, I want to just give you a couple of notations. This is going to be a 1-hour webinar. We are thrilled and excited to have representatives from New Jersey's pharmaceutical industry. A lot of wonderful information is going to be shared to you about how you can get connected to their supply chain. The webinar is going to be for 1 hour. We're going to reserve 15 minutes of that 1 hour time slot for questions and answers. So I'm going to ask you to please put into the chat box any questions that you may have. And at that time, I will address all the questions that we have time for. And if we run out of time, I will ensure that the Office of Diversity and Inclusion will get back to you separately with respect to your questions. Also, I'd like to note that tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m., the webinar series continues. We're going to have representatives from Comcast who are going to talk about their programming, the Comcast Rise, that is a multi-million-dollar investment to support diverse businesses. So I would encourage you again to go on our website. The information regarding the webinar can be found there, and you can register to attend that as well. Similarly, on December 9th, if you have not already registered, I don't know what else to tell you, but that's the place to be. You want to attend the summit on December 9th. You'll have an opportunity to meet many of the presenters who have been participating in these webinars, and again, have one-on-one matchmaking opportunities, as well as being able to participate in the virtual exhibit booths. I'm going to ask again, can you please, for all participants, since this webinar is being recorded, I'm going to ask if you can please take yourself off of video. And right now I'm seeing a couple of people. Thank you. I so appreciate you. So at this time, I'm going to turn over the program to Dean Puranika. Dean is with Hinge, also known as the Health Institute of New Jersey. He is going to tell you about the organization. He's going to tell you about its membership. And after his remarks, it will be followed up by a presentation from Representative Kiran Muppalla from Eli Lilly. So at this time, I'd like to introduce to you Dean Puranika.
Esther, thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. It's my distinct pleasure to be with you today, and I'm excited to be talking about Hinge and our member companies and the importance of the life sciences industry in the state of New Jersey. Just first of all, a little personal note about myself. I'm presently the president and CEO of Hinge, the Healthcare Institute of New Jersey, which is the trade association here in the state for the research-based biopharmaceutical and medical technology companies, of which there are many, and I'll get into that a little bit more in a moment. My personal background is I'm a 30-year life sciences industry veteran, having spent that entire time with Becton Dickinson and Company, otherwise known as BD, up in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, in a variety of roles. And I've had the privilege of being the CEO of Hinge for the past 9.5 years. Let me tell you a little bit about what Hinge does. We're an advocacy organization on behalf of the industry And if I could boil down what we do into three key terms, three key pillars, if you will, they are access, innovation, and jobs. Access, because our efforts are always geared toward trying to ensure that patients, and after all, in the final analysis, we're all patients, have the access to the extraordinary innovations and discoveries that our industry is always coming up with. And in fact, in that, of course, right now in the midst of the COVID pandemic, we're all seeing that real time. Innovation, because again, innovation is in our lifeblood. That's how we continue to push forward the edge of the envelope and continue to improve our lives. And most importantly for this conversation, jobs. Because if I were to put this in context for you, if you think of the automobile industry, you customarily associate that with Michigan. Oil and gas are well known to Texas and Louisiana. High tech is in California. Similarly, the life sciences is in New Jersey, is to New Jersey. Our vibrant life sciences community, which is very broad, it encompasses biopharmaceutical, biotechnology, medical technology, diagnostic and consumer products companies, together with the local businesses in their supply chain and leading research institutes, have made endless contributions to advancing human health, and they've been a pillar of our state's economy and communities for more than 130 years. So to put that into a sentence, now we know why New Jersey is well known for many, many years as the medicine chest of the world. I'm going to be citing some statistics for the next couple of minutes that I think reinforce that point. And if you'd like to follow up on any of them, I would invite you to visit our website at www.hinj.org. So we talk about New Jersey being the medicine chest of the world. What does that mean? Well, it means that 12 of the world's top 20 research-based biopharmaceutical companies maintain a headquarters or significant presence in New Jersey. Similarly, 12 of the world's top 20 medical technology companies maintain a presence in New Jersey. Now, my math skills aren't particularly good, but even I could figure out that that's more than half, which means we have more than anyone else. They are part of a network in the state that has over 2,200 plus life sciences establishments. They operate all over the state. And they include the most FDA registered biopharma manufacturing facilities, which New Jersey and California lead the nation. New Jersey's biotech community has grown by more than 200% in less than 2 decades. And the state is ranked number 9 nationally for medical devices. Couple that with a specialized supply chain that's been developed over 130 years, which comprises thousands of New Jersey-based suppliers. This all rolls up into a total economic impact of over $83 billion annually that's supported by the biopharmaceutical sector. That's both direct and indirect economic impact. This represents about 14% of the state's gross domestic product. It's broken down into $37 billion in direct economic impact. And importantly, for purposes of this conversation, over 46 billion is in indirect or spin-off economic activity, in other words, in the supply chain. When you look at that in terms of goods and services that are being purchased, we're looking at $6.2 billion in goods and services that are purchased by biopharmaceutical companies from over 8,000 New Jersey-based vendor relationships in 2017. And if you want to talk about the breadth of this, it covers everything from landscaping at large campuses to travel and quality control services to contract research, patent attorneys, and the like, meaning from High Point to Cape May, from the Hudson to the Delaware. So in every corner of the state, we have our supply chain, and there is a presence of our industry, even if it's not visibly present. Of that 6.2 billion, 2.2 billion is invested by New Jersey pharmaceutical companies in capital construction. Pardon me, I should separate that. 2.2 billion is invested in capital construction, which is new construction, renovation, maintenance, and purchases over the 5-year period from 2012 to 2017. And $880 million, number 15 nationally, was generated by nearly 800 active in-state clinical trials at last count, including nearly 17,000 patients. This spending supports over 305,000 New Jersey jobs, of which 60,700 are direct sector jobs. Nearly 245,000 are indirect jobs, i.e. in our supply chain. Add to that 14,000 jobs from the medical device industry. You roll all that up, you get 430,000 total life sciences supported jobs, direct and indirect, in New Jersey. That represents about 10.5% of all jobs in the state as of this past August. So all in all, you could see that this is a tremendous economic impact that our life sciences industry has on the state, particularly on our supply chain. At the same time, there is a process to become a certified supplier and vendor. And in addition to finding instructions on individual company websites, you will be hearing next from Kiran Muppalla, who is the manufacturing procurement manager at Eli Lilly and Company, one of our Hinge member companies. So with that, Kiran, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean. And thank you, Hester. Thanks to everybody who has joined the call this afternoon. So it's my pleasure to be here talking about how to do business with pharmaceutical manufacturers. So before we go in there, I'm going to actually start the presentation with a brief introduction about who we are, how to become a supplier to Lilly, best practices on how to sustain the business with Lilly. So before that, I'm Kiran Muppalla. I have been working with Lilly for 2.5 years at this point, and my total experience in pharma industry totals 14 years, where my prior experience was with Merck & Co. at several sites. I've been in procurement for 8 years, so I do feel I'm able to share this, some of the key best practices that every supplier can take away to make sure they're able to gain that business and also sustain the business with any company they work with. So probably what I'm sharing today, what I'm going to talk today, it's not only just going to be helpful for suppliers to work with us, but also to work with any pharma in any sector, could be in life sciences, pharma, or any other technology sectors. So let's not wait any further and go into the introduction of who we are. We are a 144-year-old company. It was founded in 1876 by Colonel Eli Lilly. As most of you know, we are an Indiana headquartered company. So today we are 11th largest pharma company, about with a $22 billion in revenue. That was the posted revenue in 2019. We have 38,000 employees working worldwide with manufacturing 13 countries. So the site I support in New Jersey, Branchburg, is one of the manufacturing site, which I'll be talking in brief in the coming slides. So we have clinical research and development in 55 countries, and we have the products being sold currently today in 120 countries. So the key thing to remember about Eli Lilly is probably it's one of the very few companies who haven't hyphenated in the past 144 years. So this slide is going to show you some of the targeted therapeutic areas and some of the key well-known brands or the medicines that we manufacture. And most of you might not recognize unless one of you or one of your loud members is using them. But just to name a few here, Erbitux, Prozac, Humalog, Humulin, right? If you think of Eli Lilly and know certain about Eli Lilly, we are a leader in diabetes franchise. We are the innovators of penicillin, as well as one of the pioneers to bring the major antidepressant Prozac. So that's one of the very well-known product that Eli Lilly is very famous for. So focusing on pharma's New Jersey impact, right? So I think, this is a perfect segue where I'm going to probably reinforce most of what Dean spoke about earlier, right? We all know New Jersey is medicine chest of America, or medicine chest of the world, right? And the pharmaceutical life science industry is the largest driver of New Jersey economy. So This is where there is largest concentration of scientists and engineers per square mile in the United States. And the third party spend, I believe Dean was talking about it, it's billions of dollars. And we contribute partly to it, where we have a manufacturing site located in New Jersey in Branchburg. It's right off 202, where we manufacture APIs or active pharmaceutical ingredient. So the spend impact, 48% of our revenue is spent with third parties. What that means is about half of every dollar in revenue is spent with third parties. And that's actually a global wide spend. So our global third party spend is $11 billion across 70,000 suppliers. New Jersey third party spend, it's close to $1 billion. To be precise, it's 800 million, but it's probably touching around $1 billion. And if we were to compare the spend with any of the manufacturing sites we have in United States, New Jersey would be on the top, spending about $1 billion across 450 suppliers. And as we look here, some of the top spend categories are direct materials, something that touches our product, raw materials, consumables, primary packaging, though we don't buy much of the packaging here, and also maintaining the facilities, right? That takes a lot of money, that takes a lot of suppliers, because we want to make sure we as a customer, or we as a pharmaceutical company, we want to focus on our core competency, which is manufacturing medicines. So as you see from this slide, if you can read it into a slightly deeper mode, while we are focusing on our core competency, we do depend on suppliers' core competency in providing these services or goods to make sure we are able to provide that medicine to the market in time when people need it. So let's look at this big pharma and small businesses, right? If you see, as I said, we have facilities that we need to maintain, and there are multiple categories oftentimes that we need to be actually maintaining at points of time. So the picture we see here is one of the Lilly buildings in Indiana. As you see, there's the facilities that we need to maintain: health and wellness providers, travel, meeting, and global mobility. And underneath, there's always a subcategory, right? And sometimes one thing that's most important for diverse suppliers is when they are small, it's best they aggregate with an aggregator or a distributor in any of those categories, if you are in a situation to provide any of those services that would fit the needs of a particular site or a particular company. So having an aggregator or distributor can be advantageous in a way that you would be more reachable to many customers, not just one customer. And also you can keep your fixed cost at bay. Probably it will be almost negligible. So that would be as and one thing I want to reiterate here is when a diverse supplier or a diversity supplier is not big, that's not going to constrain them from not becoming a supplier to any pharma or any life science division. So you can probably start as a tier 2 supplier to one of these providers, or to the aggregators, or to the distributors, and make sure you're able to take or get into the pharma division by doing so, which will give you access to multiple customers. So let's look into how to become a supplier to Lilly, right? Before that, I would like to say our mission, and we can probably go into some of the logistical sites that we have where you can register yourself as a supplier. And few things I want to talk, the characteristics that we look for a supplier to be successful. So as everyone does, we do encourage diverse and small businesses to grow, and as they work with Lilly, we want them to grow, and we are always attracting new businesses to our communities. The purpose: creating a greater quality of life. The niche suppliers, right? And the ones that are able to provide that competitive advantage, competitive opportunities over larger, well known companies. And I have a perfect real life example to this particular bullet point, which I'm going to save it till the end of my presentation as my closing remarks on how this particular niche supplier became successful. And that supplier was a diverse supplier as well. It not only gives Lilly as a customer an advantage, but I think that is actually going to help the supplier broaden their horizon across various customers. So access additional expertise from diverse business to bring fresh perspectives and cutting edge technologies. It goes back to what Dean said again, it's the innovation that actually puts a supplier as a front runner. So supplier diversity is equal to competitive advantage, right? Variety spawns innovation and creativity. So as you see towards the left-hand side, these are the small and diverse classifications. These are government classified. And the desired characteristics that we look for, diversity of thought, different perspective, innovation, market disruptors, unique technology, niche, and competitive advantage, right? And if we were to think into this, all of this are going to revolve around innovation. So our program, this is a snapshot of our program where we see we have the government requirements as well as the corporate goals. And these are the certifications that we require for the diverse suppliers. So how do we identify diverse suppliers? We do identify them through advocacy groups, conferences, Helix Supplier Diversity Forum, which has about 26 companies as part of it, and then through our Lilly Supplier portal. And the primary access points are attending network events organized by the advocacy groups that we learned in the earlier slide. And the few of them that we usually go to are the New York and New Jersey Minority Supplier Development Council, New Jersey Association of Women Business Owners, and the WEC, which is Women Business Enterprise Center East, that happens in Philadelphia. So below is the link for anybody who hasn't been registered today. Please use the link below and become a supplier through the Lilly supplier portal. So what do we look for in a supplier, right? Before I actually move forward on this, I think there are few main characteristics that we look for in a supplier, and these are the basic ones, right? Is the supplier being able to find when we need them, right? And when we are able to find them, is there enough information that we are able to see in a given website? And when you have that access, do you know your competitors? And the most important thing, what is the need? What is that you are able to solve the issue, right? What is the problem you're trying to solve is understanding the need of the customer. Innovation is the next thing, right? And again, being a good supplier sometimes it's very important because we need that reliability. And do you have a good back office? So when you have all of this, you are ahead of the competition. And when you are already practicing those, you are at the edge of the competition. And oftentimes, what are the innovation drivers, right? It's if you look at them, it's information, scalability, and technology. Information is about who, what, when, where, why, and how. The scalability is about being able to find the information or being able to do that analysis of the people or the facilities or the equipment across the continent, right? And technology can come in many forms, such as database, apps, device, and websites. So what can be the problem, right? Sometimes it's not the product that a supplier is providing us is the problem. It's the information, the accessibility of the information of that product is the problem. So that's what we request the suppliers when they come to us is is the information being findable when we need it, and is the information in a format that we can understand? So that's very important, the accessibility as well as the ease of understanding. And if we actually go back slightly, prior to the slides, is, when you are at the edge of the competition, we as the payers are, sometimes paying that money to the suppliers. When there is a need, we need the services, and sometimes there is, we want to buy something, but when suppliers come to us with a niche solution, innovative product, that's when we say, hey, here's, take my money, right? Looks like your product is something we are really excited to buy, because it's going to put Lily at that, not only Lily, but any customer you are able to offer that product, it's going to give them that competitive advantage. So that is what is actually going to speak volumes. So it's very important to make sure the product you are offering is being put in front of the customers in a way where they are able to take away something that's exciting for them to actually buy it. So money takers, right? We are not going to go buy everything in the market. Even in our normal life, we just don't go buy everything, right? We get excited when there is something disruptor or innovative things, and we definitely want to get our hands on it. So and here are the three CNBC annual disruptor 50 list, right? We have Stripe, Coupang, Indigo. They all belong to different industries. And if you think about them, did they come with anything new? Probably not. There were competitors existing in those industries, but what did they do? Something new, right? And what made them disruptive? So if you look at the cycle of disruption, there is a need, and then what is that, and where is it, and how is that is going to be solved? And especially when we look at the disruptor Stripe, right? It's an online payment method, and especially in 2020, the biggest issue we all faced was working remotely, or we were hit by this pandemic. So most of the shopping was happening online. The payments were happening online. So it's the online shopping and the payment, that was the info, right? And where was this happening? It was happening everywhere across the world. And what did Stripe offer that the other things didn't offer? It was the customization, ease of use, security, affordability, and being able to get integrated with other business management solutions. Today, if we were to look at Stripe, they became the preferred supplier to some big names like Amazon, Lyft, Shopify. These are just name a few, but they do have a dozen of big names they have become a preferred supplier to. So in this case, it was they were offering something more advantageous than the existing online payment method suppliers were offering. So let's, as we talk about pharma, right? Being in a manufacturing industry for 14 years, what is that pharma needs at any point of time, right? We are always given with this uh, challenge of the cost reduction. We want to make sure we are able to provide a drug at the best affordable price, and we can only do that if we are able to buy a good or a service at the right price. And the other thing we are looking for is the supply chain management. It's the risk, right? There's always risk associated, and we have learned this more than so ever in this pandemic world today, is making sure we have those reliable suppliers who are able to provide us the product when we really need them at that very point of time, so we can get the medicines to the world. They are able to meet the people in need. And better employee experience. And why I say better employee experience is, given in this global world, people are there is so much accessibility that, if employee doesn't have a good experience, they move on. So it's very important to have that. So let's look at one of the needs, that is less supply chain risk. And if we go back to the three things we looked at, one was the information, scalability, and technology, right? In this particular example, there are thousands of raw material suppliers. It's a global supply chain. We have a database, supplier name, and everything. So one key information that was missing here is the scalability, right? In if we were to see this example, we don't know who the supplier is, who the supplier is, right? That traceability. And how do you bridge that gap is you are trying to risk mitigate by understanding the complete supply chain of that. So when we oftentimes work with the suppliers to make sure we are able to have the balance between this triple constraints. It's probably not the constraints, but the triple attributes, I would say, to have that perfect balance. So how to approach your potential clients, I think this is very important as we move towards the last part of our presentation, right? Is the suppliers need to be strategic, need to be focused, and target several key corporations. Align your service offerings with their business needs, right? And I know I'm reiterating this particular topic several times during my presentation, but understanding the need of the customer and what is that solution that you are able to offer to meet that particular need, and how is that solution going to put you ahead from your competition. That is very important. I cannot actually stress that enough, but I think that is what is going to put any supplier ahead of their competition, and ready to share existing experience with that industry. And you might ask me a question, hey, what if we don't have an existing experience with that particular industry? That's still fine, right? Is you can, as I said in my earlier slides, work with an aggregator, work with a distributor. Probably you can start small, start as a tier 2 supplier, get that experience, and when you have enough experience, you should be able to leverage that existing experience as a tier 2 supplier to become a tier 1 supplier. Pitch the message. It's very important to have the technical people as well as the business people being put in front of the customers, right? It's very important to get that concise and succinct message. You need to share your competitive advantage and what is that offering that's going to be unique. Highlight your niche areas. Sometimes it's not about what you sell, it's about what the corporation wants to buy. And the solutions that you are able to offer, is that what the business is asking, right? Approach with that perspective and highlight your proven track record also with the pharma experience. And because oftentimes when we hear the presentations that are presented by the suppliers, one thing that they miss is the examples, because the examples, the experiences, and how you approached a problem, what was the solution that was given by you, it's going to speak volumes. So it's very important to share that proven track record. Best practices. Being in procurement for 8 years, these are the few best practices or key important things that I want every supplier to take away, because it's very sometimes important to get these things right. Follow the directions, right? Stay on point. You need to address the client's concerns. If you have an alternative, innovative proposal, submit it, but submit it along with your original proposal to what was requested, and how your innovative solution is going to offer an advantage over the solution that the company requested. Understand the decision criteria. We do share the decision criteria. And know your company's strength, understand your competition. Knowing your competition is very important. Address risk concerns proactively, and if you do not win the project, it's not end of the world. There will be many projects for a company come, it'll be with many other companies. And like me, people move from company to company, right? And when they have a supplier they have worked with and they have a good experience, they share the suppliers, right? We all know there is that sharing or the information sharing that happens between companies. So even if you don't win, people do remember the quality of the proposal that was submitted to the client when an RFP was requested. So it's important to get that thing right. So ask for feedback. If you didn't win the project, ask for a constructive feedback. It's okay to have a meeting with the customer and ask them, hey, what was it? Was it the price? Or was it the scope you didn't understand it correctly? So it's very important to get that constructive feedback when you don't win the particular award, a particular project, and incorporate that feedback into the next RFP or any RFI that has been sent your way. As I said, if you don't win one RFP, doesn't mean it's end of the world. There will be more opportunities, and there might be a situation why you were not chosen, and could be everything was right, but it could be something the customer wanted something different at that point of time. So um, how to get our money or how to take our money, what makes us say, hey, here's take my money, and hopefully it is solving the problem, right? If oftentimes there is a problem, we need the suppliers to solve us when we are focusing on our core competencies, right? So solve a problem, tell us about ourselves using our data, and benchmark us, right, with other customers. Keep our employees here and happy. Use aggregators to expand your market. And before I actually go into the Lilly contacts, if you go back, as I said, I'm going to actually say a real life example of how this particular supplier entered into the pharma industry or the life science division, right? And this is about, if we look at the normal refrigerators or the freezers, this was about 10 years back, 12 years back. Everybody used the refrigerators or the freezers that used freon, right? They were not environmentally friendly at that point of time, the refrigerants that were used. And this particular company, I'm not going to name the company, but you can Google it. You will be able to find the name.
I'm
Um,
sorry. I'm sorry, Kiran. This is Hester. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm going to ask Nancy McGarra if you can please turn your video off. Thank you. I'm
yep.
sorry, Kiran.
No,
Please
no
continue.
worries, no worries. You're fine. So this particular company, they actually used the very old technology, which is the Stirling engine technology. It's a existing technology, but was never used for the freezers. So they incorporated the Stirling freezer technology in building a freezer. So what was this freezer offering more compared to the existing upright freezers, right? First thing, they were using environmentally friendly refrigerants. It was not causing any damage, right? So there's a sustainable solution. And so as because it doesn't have a compressor, if we were to read the Stirling engine technology, it's very fascinating technology. So the freezers don't have a compressor. When a freezers or a refrigerator doesn't have a compressor, it's going to offer more storage space, right? And also the Stirling engine technology came with the advantage that it's going to consume less energy. If we look from the total cost of ownership perspective, um, the companies using these freezers or the refrigerators, they are going to actually save money on electricity over the long period of time that they would be using this particular one. So it was not offering one single advantage, it was offering multiple advantages over the freezers that were actually manufactured by big suppliers. And this supplier, they actually took over the market in freezers with their technology because it was innovative. And even though they were a diverse supplier, they were a small supplier, they were encouraged by every life science division and every pharma division to take on and use their freezers. So I hope that example is going to at least give an idea or motivate you guys that it's about your product. It's about the information that is being available for the customers to read is what is going to make you unique and make us come to you saying, hey, we want to buy your product. So with that, I want to share the contacts for Lily. For Lily, it's me. As I said, I manage all of the procurement at Branchburg, New Jersey. You can reach me at my email anytime. So contacting me via email is the most preferred method. And Shirley Tang is the Supplier Diversity Program Manager at Corporate, and you have her number as well as email address. And when you reach her, she'll be able to connect you to the appropriate category owners. And as one thing I want to say in closing, we always give opportunity to diverse suppliers. So I think when you get that opportunity, it's on the suppliers to make sure that you are able to take advantage of the opportunity that was provided on how you can help us so we can help you. So with that, I'm going to close it and give it over to Hester.
Well, thank you so much, Kiran, for that wonderful presentation. I think that everyone will agree that if they didn't know anything about the procurement, supply chain, and farmer, that you gave a lot of good information. Again, this presentation has been recorded. We will upload that to the Office of Diversity and Inclusion website, and we also will have a copy of the deck. I'm wondering, because that request came in while you were giving your presentation, Kiran, if you can just advance the slide so that folks can get the information regarding accessing your portal.
Sure. There you go.
Perfect. And before I go into the questions that are in the chat, and there are some, I'm going to take the liberty as the moderator to ask you if you can give folks kind of a walkthrough, because I think it's always good to manage expectations. So what I mean by that is everyone is going to, or the majority of people are going to, as a plan of action, sign on to this portal because they want to be a supplier. What happens? What is that process that they should expect after they input their information into the portal?
So absolutely. If I'm not able to answer that question in full form today, I'll get back to you, Hester, and you can pass on that information. So this is the first place for the supplier to start on to become a prospective supplier to Lily. And we use this supplier database as kind of the bank, more like an information bank where we go look at the services that are being offered. And when we see the need, we contact the suppliers.
Okay. And now just to follow up on that, because we have, again, been giving a variety of different perspectives of how one is to access a supply chain. Is it the case for, and I'm just going to use Lily specifically, is it the case that it is through your office exclusively that handles all of the supply needs for Lily, or are some of those determinations made by the different divisions? And I say that by way of example. We had Horizon who did a presentation, and their chief in the procurement bureau said that we handle some things, but there are also the division leads that are the ones that make that determination. And when it comes to a certain threshold amount, they may make that reach out independent of our particular unit. So I'm wondering if you could give us a sense of, is there any similarity in how Horizon handles their supply chain versus Eli Lilly?
There is similarities, and one thing with Lily, I would say it's a combination, right? So we all are very well interconnected, Hester, and as well as to people listening to this. So they can reach out to any person in case they know somebody who is working at Lilly and they're comfortable talking to them. Could be in the function, could be in the procurement. They can reach out to them, and ultimately as a team we make the decisions and we make those connections. And even let's say we don't have a need at our particular site, we do actually share the information among multiple sites working across United States and even sometimes OUS as well.
Thank you for that. So I don't want to monopolize asking all the questions, but I did ask those for the benefit of all the participants. And so I want to go into the chat. And the first question that came in was, do you require services such as language services translations?
Yes, we do require language services translation, definitely, and whoever that is, they can reach out to me. And something, sometimes during the audits or any of the some of those services coming from OUS, right? We would need those translation services, and we would definitely leverage if somebody were able to provide those.
Thank you. Next question is, with the increased amount of New Jersey, I'm going to insert, I guess, pharma companies opening up, is there a need for real estate to set labs up? Because they're interested in knowing what are the opportunities to assist in that regard as it relates to real estate services.
Yep, absolutely. There is opportunity for everything, but I think one thing I'll say with caution here, when there's a lot of large capital spend happening, these things happen, I would say, not very often, right? These are the large capital investments happening, and they happen probably once in 10 years or once in 20 years. But yes, we are expanding. We are in the mode of expanding, and there will be the services such as lab expansions and any kind of services that the suppliers are able to offer.
Thank you. Next question is, how can ERC Radio, which is an Indian radio station, 20 years in business, get involved in promoting the products of Eli Lilly to our loyal listeners? Diabetes is one of the big problems in the South Asian community.
I'm not sure if I'm the right person to answer that one, Hester, but I think I can definitely pass on that information to our advertising group to see if they can actually benefit from using those services at this point or in the future.
Thank you. Also a question for a general contractor who basically provides supplies, who basically provides construction management services and general contracting services. Are those areas that are needs in pharma, I guess, in general, and Eli Lilly in particular?
Absolutely. I think having a GC, CMs, which is construction management companies or general contractors, they're always in need, right? It's regardless of its pharma, whatever sector it is. When there are facilities, we need to have those facilities maintained, and definitely there will be GCs or the construction management companies. We always use them. So yes, there is always a need.
Thank you. We have another question from someone who is a service disabled veteran owned business, and they are a print service provider. So they wanted to know, because you made reference to minority and women owned business opportunities, they wanted to know whether or not you also look as part of your supply chain to include service disabled veteran owned businesses.
I don't have an answer at this point of time, Hester, but I'll get back on that one.
Okay, thank you. And when I get that answer, I will reach out to the person who asked that question. So thank you.
Yeah. Are you with me, Hester?
Yes, I am.
Okay, okay. Mhm.
I'm sorry, I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
going through the chat. Some people asked some questions regarding the links that were provided. Another question, does Eli Lilly invest in life science startups to drive innovation?
We do. And whoever that is, they can definitely reach out to me or probably to Shirley Tang, and we should be able to connect them with the appropriate contacts.
Thank you for that. We have someone else who is a flooring material supplier and installation company. You mentioned facility work. Would that also be something that would be a part of
Yes,
the that you have?
yes.
And so, again, for professional services of that type, is the entry point again through the link that you provided for the portal?
So the entry point would be, that's the first step to register, right? And as I said, if I probably didn't give my introduction very well, I manage all of the capital, construction, facilities, consumables, raw materials at the site. So anything that's related to capital or construction or facilities, and if you are a New Jersey-based company, I would be your primary contact. So I would be very happy to help in case you have the services that you are providing in that area. We should be able to hook you up with one of our current construction management companies or current contractors at the site, so you can start as a tier 2 supplier and start building up your experience with us.
Thank you so much, Kiran.
Yeah.
There's another question that wants to know about your how you handle your RFPs and RFQs. Are they provided once someone goes into the portal? And this particular person is asking because they provide professional services in the area of talent and leadership development. So they're
Okay.
trying to see for, you talked about the health and wellness of your employees, and it appears as though there are a lot of opportunities to provide those types of
Mm-hmm.
professional services.
Mm-hmm.
So again, are those let out through RFPs or RFQs, or how can someone who offers professional services in that area make a connection?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we run our RFPs is to the later point, right? The RFIs is the first phase, which is for inquiry to understand if you do have the capability to meet the needs, what we need at that point of time. So that's the first step. So yes, we do look at the Lilly supplier portal, and also I would say do not wait to just wait yourself, register and wait there, right? Thinking somebody is going to reach you. I would say the suppliers to be proactive in reaching either me or Shirley Tang to make sure you're at least out there letting us know, hey, these are the capabilities that we can offer to you. So that's going to make you stand out. And again, when people do reach out to us, we do give an opportunity to at least listen to the presentation, what's the services or the goods that they are able to provide. So if you are able to get that to that opportunity and be able to stand out in that opportunity, you will definitely get invited for an RFP. But one thing I want to say is, remember, at the end of the day, it's only one supplier who can win the RFP. So it's a highly competitive market in any area we are in. So it's how you stand out yourself from your competitors is the main thing there. And oftentimes it's about getting that opportunity, and we are here to give you that opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. We have another question as it relates to IT. You mentioned that as also being
Yep.
part of your supply chain. So I'm trying as best I can to
Sure.
summarize some of the questions, but they want to know if for those who are participating on today's webinar who provide IT hardware or technology that can be used, and again, these are diverse suppliers, they wanted to know how they can best engage Eli Lilly.
Again, we there's no company that doesn't run without IT, right? Everybody needs IT, hardware, software. We'll definitely use those services that are provided. Again, reach out to me, Shirley, and give us a brief introduction of the services or the goods that can be provided by you, and we'll definitely look into what can be purchased or what's the opportunity that we can give you.
Thank you, Kiran. We have a question. I don't know if this is an overlap to what we talked about in terms of construction management, but it's a little more specific. They wanted to know about opportunities as it relates to civil construction, such as parking lots, sidewalks, and site work. Is that also areas covered under the facilities maintenance? And again, if so, entry point.
Yep, the entry point would be me for New Jersey. So do contact me. And again, yes, that would come under facilities maintenance and usually managed by a construction management company or a general contractor working for that construction management company. So yes, we do have to maintain our parking lots and the roofing, everything, right? So that all comes as part of facilities maintenance.
And there was a question earlier, I'm sorry, I overlooked that, and this person was in the waiting room very early, so I want to make sure that I get her question in. And that was regarding temporary housing services. We have someone who's participating on the webinar, and they provide those types of services. Would that also be something that Eli Lilly would have need of?
I'm not 100% sure of the temporary housing. Probably I would need more detail on that one, Hester, but I wouldn't discourage the person from not getting connected to us. I would say the person to reach out to Shirley Tang, and because most of those services get managed through corporate, so it would be best for that particular person or the supplier to reach out to Shirley Tang as provided in the contacts. So they should be able to see if we can utilize some of those services, and if we cannot, what is that we can do there.
Thank you, Kiran. I think we have time for one more, and that question deals with the marketing, consumer marketing and communications. I believe you touched on that in your presentation, but can you circle back to that? And they're looking to know what type of opportunities are available as it relates to that industry.
So is it this one?
I don't know if it's particular to a
Particular, but I would say again on the marketing, right, given we make a lot of products and we don't sell directly to customers, we go through the distributors or the wholesalers, right? And there's a lot of advertising or marketing that does happen. Again, something gets managed out of corporate. If that particular person can reach out to me or Shirley Tang, we can definitely connect you to the appropriate category owners.
Okay, great. Yes, I would think as it relates to your products, particularly in healthcare, you're targeting and you're providing it to diverse group of people. So
Yep.
I think that's where they're coming from in terms of being able to assist in those types of efforts.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, Kiran, I'd like to thank you again for
Thank you.
providing a lot of very insightful information in the limited time that we have. You absolutely underscored the value and the assets that we have here in New Jersey in terms of what our pharma industry brings to the supply chain. I'd like to also thank Dean Paranica on behalf of Hinge and Haskell Berman for also facilitating us being able to provide this procurement readiness webinar series for those who are able to participate today, as well as those who will undoubtedly download this information for future use. And what I would say again to all our participants who are on this call, you want to be there on December 9th, to have an opportunity to meet with wonderful procurement professionals as demonstrated by what Kiran was able to provide to you today. And more importantly, not to squander your time asking all the information that's been provided to you in these readiness webinar series, but really taking that information and speaking directly to what Kiran has already noted, right? Their needs and how you align with their needs. So I want to thank all of you again for participating in today's webinar. I'd like to give you a friendly reminder that tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., you have the opportunity to please join us as we have representatives from our utility sector, Comcast, that will be talking about the Comcast Rise program. That is a concerted effort to invest hundreds of millions of dollars to support diverse businesses. Again, another opportunity for you to be at the table and to get some great insights and information that can help you and your business. So I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon and look forward to you joining us tomorrow at 10. Thank you all.
Thank you all.